On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, Nathan MacKinnon had a historic season last year for the Colorado Avalanche. But what can he do for an encore? Let's talk about that on a new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. And thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche, Instagram, and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. And make sure you're subscribed to our Subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do, you chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. Like we will do really with all of our, I say all of our topics. It's really two topics today. One is the Nathan MacKinnon. We have improvements and expectations up there. And I think we're going to do this for a lot of the Avalanche players going forward for the rest of the offseason. And then if you are watching on YouTube and you see that silver bronze debate, I always love bringing this up at Olympic time. We've talked about this on the podcast in the past. I love throwing it out there, and I think it's an interesting topic. And I don't remember. I think the last time we brought this up, I honestly don't remember what you said. So don't tell me now.
I'm just going to go with my heart.
Okay.
My Olympic heart.
So if you're not sure what we're talking about, you're gonna have to hang around and find out. But where we're gonna start today, sir, is like I said at the top. We're gonna start with Nathan MacKinnon. Why not start with the best from last year anyway? And we're gonna kind of talk about where we think the expectations are, or if there are any improvements. And with him, the improvements are very minor, I would say, right? And last year is last year, and if you're Nathan MacKinnon, he's probably thinking that's I personally had a very good year, brought home some hardware, didn't bring home the hardware that they all wanted, so he's looking forward already to next year. So we will do the same and kind of talk about what the expectations are for him, what we think he needs to improve on, which again, who are we to tell Nathan MacKinnon what you need to improve on?
Yeah, that's the thing. Nathan MacKinnon, honestly, he made this kind of difficult because what more could you ask of Nathan MacKinnon other than the Stanley Cup? And honestly, Nathan MacKinnon views it as Stanley Cup or bust every year. Like, yes, the Lindsay and the Hart, that's wonderful. That's just stuff to put on the resume, and the Hall of Fame bust at the end of the year. You can just put that on there, but that's not what he's playing the game for. And if you ask him, it's nice to have, but that's not what he wants. And if you can't ask him to be more consistent, especially after the year he had last year, he was putting together some incredible streaks and he was doing everything you wanted. So what more do you ask of Nathan MacKinnon to improve?
That's what I'm saying. I think, well, there's one thing, and we already talked about it, I think in the last episode, where I think we would both agree he might need a little bit of improvement on. We'll get to that. And then you see over under for the second segment, we're going to be doing things like that as well. Look at their goals, look at their assists and their point totals. Do we think they'll go over or under what they did from last year? Will they go over or under when it comes to this year? But let's start with that improvements and expectations, sir. So whatever you got, wherever you want to start, throw something out there.
Okay, we'll go over under in a minute, but just to lay it out there, he had 140 points last year as a 28-year-old. There's a drop-off when it goes to a 29-year-old. Last year, that would be 94 points by Roman Josi. So just by, age, that's where it lands. So Nathan MacKinnon coming off a personal best year, what does he do to follow that up?
Right.
And you know that he's got the heart. That's out of the way. Check. What does he do to improve his game to go get a Stanley Cup again? Because it's not sitting well with him. The more that time goes on, that cup is farther and farther away. And his game, it started out last year, it was very assist heavy. And we had made the comment, like, is this the new Nathan MacKinnon where he's going to assist his way to honestly leading in points. And I kind of anticipate him leaning heavily back that way just to go capture that cup. I don't think he's going to take it on himself to will this team to go get a cup.
He's a goal scorer, though. You know what I mean? Like he can, and the fact that he is so good at facilitating and passing when he needs to is what makes him so dangerous, right? Because he's not just I'm just going to shoot and score as many goals as I humanly and possibly can. And I think that's what just makes him so dangerous and what makes a defender genuinely not know what he's going to do. But I am right there with you on, what's the follow-up? I don't expect the follow-up to be a drop.
No.
Will he score 140 points? Again, we'll get to that, but I'll preface it by saying it's very difficult for anybody to score 140 points.
Yeah.
Him and Kucherov are the only ones that did it last year. And it doesn't really happen. McDavid did it the year before. It doesn't happen, even though scoring is up in the NHL. It's spread out more between, lines and players and stuff like that. So, getting 140 points is difficult. But what does he do? Now, the target is on your back when you do a few things in this league. And one is win the Stanley Cup. But I think that's more of like the target is now on the back of the team when you win a Stanley Cup. And sure, there's individual players that it is. But when you win that Hart Trophy, that's like, now you individually have a target on your back. And while he's been in the league for over 10 years now, teams have had opportunities to prepare for him. He's still doing what he's doing. So I want to sit here and say, like, yeah, teams are going to prepare for him even more, but he's shown he can do this over the course of over a decade now. So you wouldn't expect, the production to really to drop off. But I do want to see how, because he hasn't done this yet. He's won a cup and he followed that up, the season after. This is his first Hart Trophy. So what's the follow-up season look like? You say, he's 29. That's still, he hasn't hit that 30 yet. So I'm expecting another stellar season from him.
And I am as well. And I don't expect him to go back to where it was, honestly, it was Mikko, Gabe, and Nate. And that was all the Avalanche had. And I don't feel like he's going to go back to that mentality of understanding that it's my line and that's it. He understands, and I think this is going to go back to a team mentality, how the Avalanche will take the ice this year, this upcoming season, that everybody's pretty much accomplished their personal numbers, like especially Drouin, Mikko Rantanen. He was up there in the top 5 in points a couple times last year. Like, this team understands that they're doing the best, and now they need to do that collectively. And I feel like this team, especially like with the cap crunch issues that we've talked about in previous weeks, they understand that together they have to go chase this cup because nobody's coming to help them. And I expect, and like we talked about the assists that Nathan MacKinnon had last year, he's not forcing these passes. He's making the best decision for the line at the time. He's not forcing, trying to get an assist record and really like force feeding these passes, or honestly doing that when it comes to goals. He's not overdoing goals like opportunities. He's making the best decision, and you expect his line mates to do the same. So I expect not 140 points, but I expect that production to be at that same level because he knows this is the driving line and the rest of the team is going to be following.
Yeah, I agree with that. Another thing that I have down on here is crunch time when it comes to the playoffs. Can he put the team on his shoulders and really and carry them through a series? And then when that series is over and they've won it, you look back and be like, Nathan MacKinnon is solely the reason why. Because we've seen that in the past couple of years, the Avs kind of get a little bit stuck in the mud with different aspects of their game, and who they're playing against has, maybe they have a good game plan for them. And we've said before, Jared Bednar has his way of playing and they stick to it, which is fine. But you didn't really get those moments in this postseason, this past one, where you're like, wow, he is taking over this game. And we've seen him do that how many times over and over again throughout the course of his career in the regular season. He can do it. And this is a difficult sport to do that game in and game out, where, it's not like basketball where you're just, Steph Curry draining threes, just carrying it. It's different. It's different. I get that. But I want him to be that guy for, like I said, when they win a series, you're like, holy man, like Nathan MacKinnon went off in that series and, picked everybody up and carried them beyond a series or into a cup final or something like that.
No, I absolutely agree. He needs, and we point the finger in comparison all the time. He needs to go McDavid mode. He needs to Nathan MacKinnon needs.
I don't mean cut you out. Like, he tries. You see him trying, but does he try too much and then he'll fumble the puck or something like that? Or is it just the other team just shuts him down, which you don't want to see either?
That's what I was just about to say. What does he do when they get punched in the mouth? And it's not Nathan MacKinnon's night. And the uphill climb, he needs to take that next step. We always talk like Nathan MacKinnon's got another gear or two. Well, this year is the year you need to activate those gears. You need to, and you alluded to it earlier, he needs to win those faceoffs. It doesn't need to be like, oh, he's just bad at faceoffs. No, he needs to go out and win them. He needs to do those, like Mikko's always chasing pucks in the corner. That needs to be Nathan MacKinnon. He needs to activate that 200-foot game. He needs to play, like, his defense was much better last year. That's much improved. Now improve on that. You need to be the focal point. We talked about the captaincy. You need to be the heart and soul of this Avalanche team and dictate pace of play, 200-foot game, from faceoffs to digging pucks out of the corner to activating the rest of your line mates to dictating the game, no matter if it's going your way and you're scoring 30 seconds in, or if you haven't got a goal and it's the third period. You have to keep it going.
Yeah, it's not for a lack of trying. I mean, his effort level is pinned in the red every single game, every single shift. But I like when you said, like, when it's just not going your way, it's like a golfer. I always bring it back to when a golfer is just fighting the course and it's just, it's tough, and he fights through it and figures out a way to shoot par or shoot like one under par.
Yeah,
it's those games where, what are you doing to break through? If it's not your day, if they got you figured out when it just comes to goal scoring and you got a goalie that's just standing on his head, sometimes it's not the Avalanche fault. Sometimes the other team is playing good, which, oh, by the way, can happen. Other teams can play well. What are you doing to make, power through? Be the Kool-Aid man and bust through that brick wall. Yeah.
Because he's got the Hart Trophy now. That automatically means every day must be your day, and you must escalate your play to make it your day and play your way.
And you mentioned the face-offs, which is that was the last thing I had on mine. I don't know.
It's almost like if you have to pick out something that is his weakness, that's where you go, and it's like address it, Nate. Like fix it, make it work.
I know. So, all right, let's get our first break in. We'll come back. We'll do an over-under with MacKinnon and his goals, assists, and points. Hear from our Subtext people, and then the silver and bronze debate. I love it. All right, we'll do that coming up next. All right, we got Indeed back, and we're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. And if you need to hire, then of course that you need Indeed. It's your it's your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will get $75 in sponsored job credit to get your job more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. So just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support Locked On Avalanche by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. And if you need to hire, then you need Indeed. All right, so let's get to some over and under for Nathan MacKinnon. Obviously, dude went off last year. 140 points, played all 82 games, 51 goals, 89 assists for those 140 points, and of course the Hart Trophy. We'll start with the goals. 51 for him. What are you thinking? Over or under when it comes to that?
And I know I've been kind of critical of Nathan MacKinnon, and I don't like worship him as many others do. And I
do.
I know. I
Yeah.
I always can expect more, but this is a category that I anticipate. Hey, don't throw me out for this, but I feel like this could be a 60 goal year from Nathan MacKinnon.
He's that type of guy that, like we were saying before, like he's never satisfied.
Yeah.
So the 51 and the 89 are both career highs for him. So he's not going to say like, okay, those are my career highs and that's my top. He thinks he can get more than that. So he's going to try. I can definitely tell you that.
I feel like he has to, and I feel like there are games that he has to, because we talked about the cap crunch, we talked about this roster, and you still got to figure it out. The top six you kind of understand, but you don't know what lines 3 and 4 are going to give you all year long. And I feel like there's going to be those games that we were talking about. What are you going to do when you get punched in the mouth? It's going to have to be the answer is Nathan MacKinnon, and I feel like he's going to have to step it up. And everything we were asking him in this first segment, I feel like he's going to put into practice. And the assists might not be there, but he's going to take it on himself and put the team on his back, though, and go get that 60 goals.
But I don't think he's going to go out and say, like, I had 51, I have to go get 52.
No.
Or I have to go get 60. I think he's going to just play his game, and he's going to say, like, if I, just position myself differently on a power play, if I'm, like 2 feet closer or so, or 2 feet down more, or so, whatever the case may be, he's going to look at it that way as a way to improve the chances of him scoring more goals. And he's just going to play his game because he's a dynamic scorer, obviously. But it's tough to say that he'll beat that. If he did 51 goals in like 77 games, you could be like, oh yeah, if he plays all 82, yeah, he's got a great chance to beat that. He played all 82. So could he beat 51? I think he could. Could he get 60? I mean, God, if anybody could do it, you know that he could. It's very, very difficult to do that. As far as the over or under go, I think he could go over that. I don't think could he get 60? Yes. Do I think he will? No, but could he be in that mid 50 range? Absolutely. He could be in the 54, 55, 56 range. Yeah.
I feel like this isn't like him challenging himself. This is going to be a necessity thing. I feel like he's going to have to score 60 this year. And it's just you're going to stumble into it. You're going to be maybe first 2 or 3 months of the season. You're like, wow, he's really flirting with 40 at this point. And it's going to be a surprise because of him understanding that he's got to do a little bit more to get the Avalanche a little bit farther than where they have been in the playoffs. And he's going to get 60 out of just a grindy necessity.
I'll give a huge what if right now. And if he gets like 45 goals this year and doesn't even touch 50, the year after that, he'll get 60.
Oh, yeah.
Because then people are going to be like, oh, what's wrong with Nathan MacKinnon? He only had 45 goals, and he will take that as like, okay, I'll show everybody. So save this, and for a year from now, if it does go that way, if it doesn't go that way and he gets more than that, then he's just going to improve on that the year after, like he just tends to do. Assists, 89 assists, like I said, career high for him there. What do you think?
I feel like that's going down. I feel like there's an under there because this just feels like the quietness out of Nate this offseason. I feel like there's a shift coming on with Nathan MacKinnon, and he's taking an evolution in his game. And I feel like the assists are going down, and I feel like you're going to get selfish Nate because he wants to win. And it's been a while since they've won.
I don't think, both of these things, like I think he'll be close. Do I think he can get 89 again? Like if anybody can do it, sure. I'll say under, but maybe by like 2 or 3. I don't think it's going to be if he gets 55 goals that he'll drop down to like 75 assists. Will he really get 14 less assists? I don't think so. Like his game is tailored. It's just speed. He's just always on the look for teammates or to shoot the puck. He's just dynamic in so many different ways on the offensive side of things. I don't like if these numbers dip, I don't think they dip by much. And I think he can get more in goals. I think he'll be right around that in assists. So, could he get another 140 point season? Like I said in the very beginning, that's difficult for anybody. But I mean, maybe he'll be in the 130 arena for me next year, which is another fantastic season.
We'll see. And now talking about the points, I'm also taking an under. He's not doing 140, but I feel like it's going to be like a 60-60, and he's going to end with 120. And I really feel that the assists will go down, the goals will go up, but he's still ending it with it's going to be a plus 120 season.
Oh yeah, I think you have to expect that at least, which is crazy to say. Just expect a guy to get 120 points, but
for as many years as we said, will Nathan MacKinnon ever hit 100 points? And now it's expected not just over 100, 120 is your baseline now. Thank you, Nathan MacKinnon.
And I think what helps him, is he plays a lot on the power play. Doesn't rely on the power play. I mean, we saw the numbers last year between him and Kucherov. Kucherov, a ton of his numbers came from power play, which good. I mean, you should. It's like a free throw. Well, no, I mean it's not a free throw. It's harder than a free throw. But you know what I mean. Like you have the advantage, so he took advantage of it. MacKinnon did too, so that helps him. That gets him more numbers. But his 5-on-5 numbers are stellar.
Yeah,
they're stellar. So I think he's definitely. Will he be in the conversation again next year? Definitely. There's nothing there for you to, and the stuff that we're talking about right now are just like incremental things that an already superstar has that, wow, like they're just minor things that he's taking on to say, like, I can improve my game. You're trying to tell me like what I did last year is all I got? No, it's not. I got way more than that, and I'll prove it to you. So those little adjustments, it'll be right back in the mix for this whole thing.
It's a different tuning on a Lamborghini. You're messing with the gear ratios at this point. If you wanted to shift between third and fourth, this is where you're doing it, but you're still getting the same level of performance wherever you're shifting.
Why don't they make stick shift cars anymore? Why?
Because
I learned on stick shift, man.
I cannot drive a stick shift.
You can't?
Cannot.
Oh man, I wish I could find a stick shift car anymore. Like you cannot find them.
And I drive a Jeep that's automatic.
Yeah? Crazy. All right, we'll get to our subtext people, and then we're going to discuss the silver and bronze debate. We're going to do that coming up next. First, we're going to hear from FanDuel because we love sports and we love them so much. We never want them to stop. But we no longer have playoffs in the NHL or the NBA. We have baseball and we have Olympics, which are already winding down as well. Only a few days left of the Olympics, which have been incredible, by the way.
Breakdancing coming up.
Yeah, I know. Waiting for that. Sports aren't sportsing like we want them to, but FanDuel lets us keep the sports going whenever we want. All we have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime that we're in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. With FanDuel, its official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, let's get the people from. So there's a couple comments from Subtext. This one is from our man Vargar. He says Nate will have 45. There's the 45 goals, 45 goals and 120 points. So that's Vargar? Why are you making me math? Come on, man. 75. That's 75 assists. So 45 and 75. Nate will have 2 meltdowns, one on the bench and one in practice. Okay. Nate he'll win the cup, but miss out on the Conn Smythe to Makar once again. So Vargar is predicting a Stanley Cup victory this year. We haven't even got to that point yet, but what do you think?
I have that feeling too, Vargar. I don't
feel about the meltdowns or
well, the meltdowns that's coming. But I don't see this being the year that the goals dip. I feel like it's going up, and again, it's going because there's going to be games that it is going to be a Nathan MacKinnon clinic, and the only reason the Avalanche won is Nathan MacKinnon, and I feel like we're going to have more of those games this year. It's going to be like that three-headed monster year. That's all you had. It's going to be like that because help is not on the way, and they're going to have to limp through some games because of depth and money, and it's going to be Nathan MacKinnon only.
I wouldn't say only. I mean, when you have Cale Makar on the team and Mikko Rantanen, like there's options. But like we said, I think you'll see more of those games where it's just like, dude, just is a man possessed.
Yep.
Katie says 3 things that I expect: more leadership moments, like when he passed the puck to Logan O'Connor, let him get his first hat trick. With Gabe out, he's been on the team the longest, and in my opinion, really grew into a leadership role last season. Looking forward to seeing more of him in that role. Thank you, Katie, for saying that, because I hear so many people just feel like, that he's not a leader. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like he does it differently. If that's what you're saying, like he does it differently than Gabe Landeskog. Yes, he does. Is that wrong? No. He's a vocal. So is Landeskog, but MacKinnon, just the expectation is just perfection. There's nothing wrong with that in being your leader. And I know, like we talked about that so many times about, if there was a new captain, I'm on the MacKinnon train with that. Seems like she is too. But we got so many comments saying like, no, he's too angry, or like, so what? What do you want him to be like? Sesame Street here? Like, what? Come on.
This is the year that bridges both of that because he's angry at himself and it's all a personal thing for him and he expects more out of himself. But I feel like what you saw with those moments that Katie mentioned about passing up the puck and a couple moments that Nate had last year, I feel like he's becoming a leader whether he wants to or not. And I feel like he knows that his expectation for himself is something that he's also preaching to his team. He's not as vocal as what Landy is, and it's not a broad, like when Landy speaks, it's for the team. But Nate is starting to understand that that's where his role is now, and I think you're going to see that this upcoming season.
She also says the Mooseheads connection with him and Drouin continuing to rock and roll, with both of them racking up points with each other. And of course, him lifting the cup at the end of the season is another expectation she has. And she says, points and goals, I'll always say more for Nathan MacKinnon.
160 for Katie.
So there you have it. All right. Let's get into the silver and bronze debate. It's Olympic season, and I always love bringing this thing up because it's fun. It's fun to talk about. So the question is, it's more for the team sports. It's not really like the individual, like swimming or something like that. But for the team sports, so just have basketball on your mind, or even have hockey on your mind if you want to think of the Winter Olympics. If you are in the championship game and you lose that game, your last memory, or I shouldn't say last memory, your last game that you played at the Olympics is a loss, and you got the silver medal. Or you could play that bronze medal game and you won that game, and the last time you took the ice or the court, you won it to get a bronze. Of course, silver is second place and it's above a bronze, but it's the feeling. It's the feeling of losing to get a higher medal, or winning that last game to get the third place medal. What would you rather have?
I'd rather win to get the bronze.
I more lean towards that than losing it to silver. And it's an odd thing to say, but and we got a lot of comments from people in Subtext saying things like, well, at least you're playing for the championship game. Yeah, I get that. And that is what you want, but that's not the question.
Mm-hmm.
The question is the end result. So yeah, you got to play to win the gold. I get that. The end result though is what sticks around. And man, like, it's so weird for me to say that I would want the lesser medal, but it in that same aspect with winning the bronze, if you lose that game, you get nothing. So at least you won something to get a medal, and your last moment on the ice or the court is a win.
And I can hear everybody start. Yeah, I could hear everybody typing right now on YouTube. I can hear it. about the silver, and no, you want the silver, that second place. Ask Connor McDavid how that Conn Smythe feels.
You know what? I didn't even really think of those two things. Yeah, that's not. Wow, now I got to really think about that.
Because yeah, you got but every time you look at it, you think of that loss, and that's what you're going to think of when you get the silver. Yes, it's second place, but it goes back to Dale Earnhardt. Second place is first loser.
Yeah,
and that's what that signifies. And if you win to get bronze, you feel like that is honestly your silver or gold. You had to earn that medal, and you just got the silver for losing. No, I would put that in a drawer and never look at it again.
It's funny you say that, because I'm saying I'd rather have the bronze like in the moment. Fast forward 10, 20, 30 years and you have a silver medal, you could probably look back and be like, that hey, we went up against the best and we lost. You might look back and those the feelings fade maybe a little bit, but decades down the road you might be more happy that you have the silver than the bronze. But in the moment, come on, like you're walking off the court like dejected and you lost, and you got to turn around and go accept a medal, from losing.
Dude,
I don't know, man. It's an interesting debate that I love having.
Like, you got to take a step back. Like, if you're doing like beach volleyball or any of those other ones, like, this is it. And you spent all of those months training and all of the qualifying, and you go all the way to Paris and you lose, that silver medal's never going to be something you pull out of the drawer, because that's a reminder of all the like years that you wasted to get to the championship game and lose. It's always going to stick with you.
I don't know, man. It's someone said something about like either way seems like a consolation prize. Was who said? I think it was Tanya said that. Either seems, and she's kind of right. They do. I mean, you're not getting the gold, so they both are consolation prizes. But I don't know.
You could polish that bronze medal enough to where it looks gold at some point.
That is true. Sometimes you can't even really tell the difference on television. It's tough to tell the difference sometimes. Yep. So you could walk around, and you could walk around your hometown. They've never seen a gold medal before in person, probably. So you could just walk around and be like, yeah, that's a gold. I just hope you were not watching like millions of people were, but
yeah, don't Google it. Don't look it up.
No, just trust me. That's gold.
That's gold.
Very interesting. Yeah. All right. So comments away on that as well. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you everybody for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.